Welcome to Perky Penny Paper Arts. Today is the first of a two-part series I'm calling Mini Masterpieces, where I've taken 10 popular card designs and shrunk them down to tag size. The main ingredients for these cards are the super cute Santa Town 6x6 paper pad, doodle pops, stickers, and embellishments from Doodlebug Designs, and these card sketches that I've created that I'm sharing on my blog. In most instances, the sketches have the measurements for both the mini size and the standard size cards, so it will be a great reference for you to have. Our first card is the always popular Sidestep card. The ingredients you'll need are a 3" by 6" piece of double-sided pattern paper, a 1.5" by 2" focal point, which could be a stamped sentiment or image, and in this case I'm going to use the cut-aparts from the paper pack, a 1 3/4 by 2 1/4 mat for the focal point, and some fun embellishments to top it off. Place the paper, Place the paper in your trimmer like I am here. The top is actually going to be the bottom of my card. I line up the right side of the paper with the 1 1/4" mark to the right of the blade, and using the ruler that is in the slider channel, I set the blade at 1/2 inch from the top of the card. Being sure to hold everything in place, I slide the blade down to the 3.5" mark on that center ruler. And that's all the cutting we have to do to make this fun fold. I then get my scoreboard, and on the 1/4" side, I scored at 3 inches, and then flip the paper over, and I score on the other side at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 3.5 inches. You'll notice the 1/2 inch and the 3.5 inches line up with the line that we cut. Starting with the 1/2 inch score line, I mountain fold, valley fold, and then mountain fold that side. And then as that's happening, the 3 inches on the other side is basically falling into place, and it's a mountain fold as well. Now that we have created the basic shape, you can decorate the card as you like. Here I'm using talc on the exposed back of stickers. This makes it so I'll be able to close the card and it won't stick together. When I'm finished with these kind of cards, I like to take a small strip of scratch paper and secure it on the underside between the front and the back. This makes it stay up rather than falling down when it's being displayed. Wouldn't these make cute place card holders? Next up, we have the mini slide and stand card. Again, we'll need a 3" by 6" piece of pattern paper, the 1.5" by 2" focal point, which could be a stamped sentiment, just like the first card, a 1 3/4 by 2 1/4 mat for that focal point, and some fun embellishments. We also need a 2" by 3 3/4" piece of white cardstock to place our focal point on, and I added a little Merry Wishes sentiment for fun. Take the 3" by 6" pattern paper and place it on your scoreboard with the long side facing towards the top ruler. Then score at 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, and 5.5 inches. Fold the panel in half, and on the seam mark 1/2 inch from either end with a pencil. Open it up and use a craft knife to cut a slit between your pencil marks. Then erase this pencil mark and fold and crease all of your score lines. To create the pop-up, I took my decorated 2" by 3 3/4" panel and ran it through the slit in my card. The slit wasn't quite long enough, but a quick adjustment and we were back on track. I folded over the 1/2 inch section on each end of the base, folding them in towards the center, and put a strip of score tape on the exposed side of each flap. I lined up the panel with the center edge of one side and pressed down, and then repeated the process for the other side. Then I pushed down on my card base like this, and it creates the stand-up card. This is when I realized that my center panel was actually taller than 3 3/4 inches. I was so happy that I had used dotted tape runner to attach the focal point. This meant I could remove it and then cut the panel down to the correct size and reattach it. A quick and easy fix. a couple of happy snowmen, and this card is done. Watch now as I make the easiest and maybe cutest little Shadowbox card ever. I have a 3" by 5 1/4" piece of pattern paper, another one of the cute cut-aparts from the paper pad, and a few embellishments once again. It's the holidays after all. On the long side, I score the paper at 2 inches, 2½ inches, 4½ inches, and 5 inches, and then fold and crease all of these lines. To create the window, I use this old paper punch I had from Stampin' Up. Any punch that fits will suit just fine for this card. If you don't have a punch, you can use a die, a paper trimmer, or even a craft knife to create a window. I have this punched out piece on hand for when I'm making a card like this. I use a small amount of dotted tape runner and center it on the first 2-inch space. This makes it easy for me to line up the punch and create my window. I formed my box by folding up the card and then trimming the flap so it can not be seen through the window. I then added glue to the flap and adhered it to finish the box. All that is left to finish this card is to add the cut-apart inside popped up with a double layer of 3M foam tape, and a few snowflakes were added to the outside. Here is another quick and easy card. Are you noticing a trend here? I have another 3" by 6" piece of pattern paper, another cut-apart for my sentiment, and 2 pieces of cardstock that are 1 3/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches, one in red and one in white. I scored the pattern paper at 1½ inches, at 1½ inches and 3 inches on the long side, and folded and creased the 1½ inch line like a mountain and the 3-inch line like a valley. I chomped off the 4 corners with the 1/4 inch side of my corner chomper. After matting my sentiment, I applied adhesive to the left side of the mat and adhered it to the top of the card, and then lined up and adhered the white panel on the inside of the card. Notice these also have their corners chomped off. I added a snowflake to the inside panel, and this card was done as well. I'm using my paper trimmer, but a craft knife would work just as well to cut a 3-inch border on the 2 4-inch sides and one of the 3-inch sides of the pattern panel. Then I placed the paper on the scoreboard with the cut lines running perpendicular to the score lines, and scored just between the lines I had cut, at 3/4 inches, 1 7/8 inches, and 3 inches. I fold and crease like so, and now I'm ready for the next step. I take 1/8 inch score tape and run it along the underside of the 1/4 inch flap of the center panel, and then line up, center, and attach the 2-inch wide white cardstock to the flap. This creates our pop-up mechanism. I then flip over the entire piece of pattern paper and apply score tape around the 3 edges that have cut lines, steering clear of the center slider. I line up my 3" by 4" white cardstock and adhere it to the back of the pattern panel. I applied my hidden sentiment inside the card and then worked the slider a bit to make sure it was moving smoothly. And then I started to decorate the front by adhering the white panel to the bottom part of the slider mechanism just above the 1/4 inch flap and adding the 2 strips of pattern borders, when I noticed another oops. Normally, I trim the slider panel and punch out a notch at the top before I stick everything together. Well, this time I forgot to do that, and I wanted to show you how I fixed it. I first trimmed the slider panel to end at the card. I then opened the slider as far as it would go and went about folding the slider panel in half. I then carefully closed the slider panel so that it was within the card and out of the way as I punched my notch. I then reversed the process by carefully opening up the slider again and unfolding the slider panel. It worked like a charm. There is a crease, but it really isn't an issue, and it could be covered up with some pattern paper or washi tape. And now to create a scene with those adorable stickers, and another mini card is complete. I hope you join us next time as I share 6 more mini cards and some fun ways to use all of them. Thanks so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.